Good morning, everyone. On this, third or fourth day in a row of a most beautiful day in paradise? We've got to appreciate it after the spring and summer we've had. Welcome to the 6th Sunday in our summer series with the theme Passion, Compassion, Community. Members of the congregation and the community have generously shared their reflections this summer on what they are passionate about. And I hope you agree that the results have been remarkable celebrations and inspirations. We are glad to see you here today. We're going to start right off with an announcement from Scott Barkdahl as part of our welcome. Welcome to the construction season.
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to let you know that the roofing company is going to start the roof replacement process tomorrow. They'll be setting up scaffolding behind us on the whole south side and guardrails, and there'll probably be equipment in the parking lot. If you have concerns, reach out to me, and I'll address those. And I'll be keeping an almost daily eye on everything that's happening. So just wanted to give you a heads up.
There's just no rest for Scott Barkdahl with his multiple skill sets that are tremendously valuable. Thank you, Scott. If you're new visiting us today and wish to be connected to our congregation, you can find one of these blue cards in the lobby, and you will miraculously get on our email mailing list and learn all about us. We recognize that we occupy land seized from the Western Abenaki people by European colonizers. We respect the Abenaki's spiritual relationship to the land and waters of the Champlain Valley. As we gather here, we pay honor to the Abenaki people, their ancestors, and to future generations by committing to build a more inclusive, just, and respectful community for all beings. My name is Abi Sessions, and I am a member of this congregation and a member of the worship team. One of my favorite things about being on the worship team is to work with people to craft their worship services. And it's been my great pleasure and privilege to work with Will Porter in shaping this worship service today. Others who have worked to co-create this service are Margy and Jordan on the tech team, Jean Terwilliger and Avi Freund and others on the donations team who have sought a new donee for our offering this week. Our sanctuary decorations are left from a memorial service for our member Eric Nelson, which took place yesterday. I invite you to join me in the chalice lighting, which is in your order of service and on the screen. If you're reading from the screen, there will be 2 screens of text. Will, do you want to light the chalice? We hadn't rehearsed that part. As we light this flame of hope, may our congregation become a kaleidoscope of souls. In us is an invitation to sit at the table. May we tend our soul fire through these challenging and trying times to open the hearts and minds of all who enter our doors. Our opening words this morning is actually called Small Kindnesses. and it's by Danusha Lamaris. I've been thinking about the way when you walk down a crowded aisle, people pulling their legs to let you by. Or how strangers still say, "Bless you," when someone sneezes. A leftover from the bubonic plague. Don't die, we are saying. And sometimes when you spill lemons from your grocery bag, someone else will help you pick them up. Mostly, we don't want to harm each other. We want to be handed our cup of coffee hot and say thank you to the person handing it, to smile at them and for them to smile back, for the waitress to call us honey when she sets down the bowl of clam chowder, and for the driver in the red pickup to let us pass. We have so little of each other. We have so little of each other now, so far from tribe and fire. Only these brief moments of exchange. What if they are the true dwelling of the holy, these fleeting temples we make together when we say, "Here, have my seat. Go ahead, you first. I like your hat." Please join in singing number 292, "If I Can Stop One Heart from Breaking." And we're going to, it's a short song, we're going to sing it through twice.
I think it's an unfamiliar tune to many, so I'm going to play it through one time, and then we will all sing it through two times.
Pathways to connection. We are an active congregation where members deepen our relationships by pursuing activities in the community which reflect our values. These many opportunities for connection will be described in the weekly Wednesday email blast, which will be returning this week. Thanks to the return of our office manager, Laura Asermely, from her July vacation. For now, I will highlight just one, which is coming up this Friday. Parents' Night Out, Friday, August 9th, 5 o'clock. Parents gather for a potluck dinner, and their children gather in the Fen House for what we used to call, when we did this before COVID, we used to call it Saturday Night Livelies. And the kids and the caregivers have a lot of fun playing, and they get their own dinner over there. So Julia Santerre would be the person to get more information from about this. And now I'd like to invite Avi Freund to tell us about Acorn, which is our Share the Plate donee. We share our offerings 50-50 with a community or a worldwide organization, which reflects our values. Here's Abi.
Good morning. We were to have a representative from Acorn here today, but they were unable to come, so I will be reading their statement. Many of us are familiar with Acorn, but just in case you're not, Acorn is a nonprofit that serves to connect Champlain Valley farmers, food producers, and eaters. Acorn aims to be an antidote for food insecurity, to big box stores, to factory farms, and to climate change. Some of Acorn's offerings include pharmacy. Pharmacy is a free CSA program offered in partnership with Porter Hospital to bring healthy foods. This is something I've actually heard about. They also publish their annual local food guide, which features 250 local farms, and networking events and worker bee days designed to build community and support between community and farmers. But the current area of rapid growth and greatest impact for Acorn is the Food Hub, located on Exchange Street here in town. By aggregating and distributing produce, cheese, meat, bread, honey, and other local products, the Food Hub brings more local foods into our homes, restaurant kitchens, and school cafeterias. Buyers and institutions such as school districts, hospitals, and colleges source more local food for their students and patients. Community organizations and community members benefit from access to local foods at wholesale prices. Think of this as local food Costco. A strong local food system benefits not just, there must be a place I can put this where it doesn't do that, but I haven't found it yet. Okay, so a strong local food system benefits not just the local economy, but also the local ecosystem, and is vital to ensuring that we can weather the storms ahead. Since launching the Food Hub in 2021, sales have increased dramatically. Acorn's business plan projects sales to continue to increase with time. In the year ahead, they're looking to rent additional warehouse space, increasing their staff capacity, and adding more cold storage equipment. Eventually, they plan to build their own Food Hub warehouse with shared commercial kitchen and office spaces in Middlebury. All of these projects are not possible without the generous support of community members. We're honored to be, Acorn is honored to be included in CVUUS's Share the Plate offering and thanks us. And I thank you in advance for your generous offering. Thank you.
The offering will now be taken. 2 yellow cards today. First from Colleen Jishu Brown. On July 12th, I ordained as Buddhist Zen novice priest. Thank you. I have been on the path to this step for several decades, and I want to thank CVUUS and all of you for the support and encouragement you and the UU faith have offered me as I sought my path and spiritual fulfillment. I will continue to be part of CVUUS as I deepen my connection to and community service through the Breadloaf Mountain Zen community. Colleen, would you like to identify yourself somehow right now? Do we say congratulations? Is that what we say? Best wishes? The second card is from Marnie Wood. The annual Addison County Fair and Field Days concluded yesterday. Phew. I hope some of you here today enjoyed your exposure at this traditional event. I had the pleasure of tagging along with the Sessions family, enjoying granddaughter Audrey showing her Aunt Hannah's goats with great success. Others in the family participated in the skillet toss and the caber toss, placing in the top 3 spots. Hannah was named Premier Gardener. I personally would not have mentioned that from the podium, but since Marty wrote it, I have to read it. Congratulations, and what overall fun to be together. Let us now be in touch with what is in our minds and hearts from a week and a month and a year and many years of living, and have a moment of quiet.
Kindness by Naomi Shibab Nye. Before you know what kindness really is, you must lose things. Feel the future dissolve in a moment, like salt in a weakened broth. What you held in your hand, what you counted and carefully saved. Shall I start again? Okay. Sorry. I can hear myself. All too well, yeah. Kindness by Naomi Shibab Nye. Before you know what kindness really is, you must lose things. Feel the future dissolve in a moment like salt in a weakened broth. What you held in your hand, what you counted and carefully saved. All this must go so you know how desolate the landscape can be between the regions of kindness. How you ride and ride thinking the bus will never stop. The passengers eating maize and chicken will stare out the windows forever. Before you learn the tender gravity of kindness, you must travel where the Indian in the white poncho lies dead by the side of the road. You must see how this could be you, how he too was someone who journeyed through the night with plans and the simple breath that kept him alive. Before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak to it till your voice catches the thread of all sorrows and you see the size of the cloth. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore, only kindness that ties your shoes and sends you out into the day to mail letters and purchase bread. Only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, "It is I you have been looking for," and then goes with you everywhere like a shadow or a friend. My name is Will Porter. I am a member of this congregation. In 1971, I was a 9-year-old boy living on the 9th floor of an apartment building in Moscow, USSR. My best friends were an albino mouse and the family tabby cat Dad had rescued from the embassy trash dump. My father was a diplomat at the American embassy. Pigeons were everywhere in that city, and I often watched them on the windowsill outside of my bedroom window. Some of them didn't look very healthy, so I made a mixture of crushed up vitamins, aspirin, and crackers, and left it for them. The birds eagerly pecked at the remedy, but I doubt it was very good for them. Though I gave up pre-medical studies and majored in English at Middlebury College, I did eventually go to medical school and then chose to become a family doctor. After 20 years of general medicine practice in emergency rooms and clinics, I found myself disheartened by the American medical system and looking for a kind of medical practice that felt more useful and less based in commerce. I was moved by Governor Champlain's now famous State of the State address in January 2014, which he dedicated entirely to shining a light on the escalating opioid epidemic in Vermont. At that time, there was only one doctor providing medical addiction treatment in Addison County, and that was only a small part of his general practice. Though much has improved, today it is still estimated that over 20% of Vermonters have substance use disorder. Less than 40% of those folks are receiving any treatment. My first foray into addiction medicine work was taking a job at Marble Valley Correctional Facility in Rutland. I had called a friend of a friend who I understood was doing addiction treatment work. As it turned out, he was working for a private contractor that provided medical services to incarcerated individuals throughout Vermont. Though I found myself working with many people who struggled with addiction, I only lasted a few months. I couldn't stomach working in a practically windowless building, cement building, with inmates and staff who were subjected every day, all day, to an inhumane system which was causing unnecessary and prodigious harm to all involved. The medical staffing company wasn't so concerned with delivering quality health care as preoccupied with the bottom line. So I went to see the VP of Practice Management at Porter Hospital, and she signed me up on the spot, saying, "The person who just left my office before you came in was from the state, and he was shouting at me about how Porter needed to provide the kind of care you're interested in doing." Subsequently, I joined Mountain Health Center because it was dedicated to serving the underserved and had considerably more of the resources my patients needed. For the final 7 years of my medical practice, my medical career, medication-assisted treatment was my entire medical practice. A simple definition of addiction or substance use disorder is continued use in spite of negative consequences. Continued use in spite of negative consequences. I dare say we can all relate to this. Even if we've never had issues with opiates, we certainly experience this kind of thing with coffee and alcohol, our phones, eating, shopping, gambling, TV watching, news, and generally with habits, mental habits of distraction, outrage, anger, irritation. That's a lot of everyday addictions we all contend with. Today, I'm going to focus my remarks on opiate addiction, as that's what I worked with most, and because it's an extreme example of addiction. Opiates are a class of medicines that are related to opium, which is derived from the poppy plant. Heroin is a refined form of opium. There are many pharmaceutical opiates, which are generally used as pain relievers. Fentanyl, OxyContin, Percocet, Vicodin, morphine, and codeine, to name a few. All my experience leads me to tell you that addiction does not result from a character flaw or moral defect. Indeed, it is likely that some individuals have a greater susceptibility to addiction, which is genetic. In medicine, addiction has appropriately come to be considered an illness and a public health issue. I came to care deeply for my patients and soon realized they were fundamentally no different from other people I have known. The patients and the team I worked with became a beloved community with a strong shared sense of purpose. My patients, who had become accustomed to being treated with disdain and harsh judgment, were so responsive to being listened to, treated kindly, and offered effective treatment. Opiate use disorder treatment, which is sometimes referred to as medication-assisted treatment, consists primarily of treating individuals with a long-acting pharmaceutical opiate that prevents withdrawal symptoms, but is relatively non-intoxicating. This allows the individual under treatment to hold a job, to pay their bills, and generally rebuild their lives. Suboxone is the medicine I prescribe to the vast majority of folks I worked with. It's a good medicine, very safe and effective. It can be given once a day orally or once a month as an injection. Methadone is a similar medicine, though older and more problematic. It's still used, however, in certain settings. I met with my patients frequently and for 30 to 45 minutes, affording us time to build trust and mutual understanding. I found this so much more rewarding than the hyper-focused, shorter clinic visits typical in other practice settings I have known. At the beginning of each visit, I would ask my patients if they had experienced any cravings since our last visit, and if so, could they identify what had caused the cravings? One day, early in my tenure, a patient told me that driving by the Burlington bus station and seeing a guy sitting on the bench nodding out had caused her to think about using heroin. I was mystified. How could the sight of a disheveled, slumped-over figure sitting in a bus station stimulate a desire to use in this mother of 3 school-aged children who stood to lose custody of them if she returned to illicit drug use? She explained that she knew exactly how the fellow in the bus station felt. He was feeling no pain, she told me. She described it as if using heroin would completely relieve all the pain in her life and provide a complete, if transient, solution to every problem. She had not relapsed, but was simply answering my question candidly, helping me to understand how opiates affected her. It's important to mention that there are people who dislike the way opiates make them feel, while others feel it provides the best imaginable sensations. In as little as 4 weeks of daily use, a person will develop dependence on opiates. This is manifested as feeling poorly once the effects have worn off, which is known as drug withdrawal. At its worst, opiate withdrawal is akin to the worst case of flu you've ever had. Nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, cramping, aching, sweating, chills, profound dysphoria, the opposite of euphoria. In short, complete discomfort. All this in addition to the psychic discomfort of knowing that all you need is some money to obtain more opiates to get instant relief. Opiates are a pernicious and thorough trap for the individual who finds them pleasurable. Once one has developed dependence, one is spurred on alternately by the positive effects of intoxication and the very negative sensations associated with withdrawal. With ongoing use, the pleasurable effects become diminished, and the withdrawal symptoms worse. One needs a higher, more expensive dose of opiates to get the same effect. It quickly becomes unaffordable and often leads to crimes committed to obtain more opiates. In my experience, everyone who finds themselves entangled with drug addiction started out innocently, thinking they had simply found a solution to discomfort, a way to make themselves feel good. Many, though not all, people who get into trouble with opiates have had a lot of pain in their lives before they got started. Once they're hooked, they are routinely further traumatized. They live largely outside the law and so are targets for exploitation by drug dealers, pimps, employers, partners, friends, you name it, pretty much everyone. They become alienated from their families and all other supports. Eventually, everything takes a backseat to the substance. Addiction is truly a crucible of suffering and misfortune. If one does not perish from an overdose, they sometimes find their way to treatment. Often, for my patients, this meant enduring 10 years or more of this hardship. The record in my practice was 47 years. This gentleman was uncanny in his ability to manage his habit carefully, though he must have paid a steep price in enduring discomfort. He explained to me this wasn't by choice, but because he was unable to find a reliable, continuous source of heroin for many years. Once he finally did find a reliable dealer, if there is such a thing, his habit escalated out of control. He realized he was headed for disaster and decided to give treatment a try. He's now 10 years into recovery and told me recently he's tapered his dose from 14 milligrams to 4 milligrams a day. I don't know anyone who's more grateful for his recovery. Many patients shared with me that they had become convinced that they were doomed to die as a consequence of their drug use, but figured they'd try treatment as a last resort, even though they didn't believe it would work. Treatment does work. Recovery from substance use disorder is possible, and the medical model is just one of many paths to recovery that I've seen people utilize in liberating themselves from harmful substance use. There are now at least a dozen medical providers in Addison County who offer medical addiction treatment. The opposite of drug use is connection, not abstinence, not willpower. I didn't get so emotional as I practiced this. Addiction is so isolating that recovery always entails finding one's way back to connection, choosing to heal one's heart and one's relationships, as well as one's body and mind. In the past 2 years, overdose deaths in Vermont have decreased for the first time in many years. No doubt there are many factors, but most often harm reduction strategies are given credit for this change. Harm reduction, when applied to substance use disorder, dictates that the top priority is to reduce harm versus, for instance, punishing people. The most commonly discussed and deployed initiative of this kind in Vermont is the distribution and availability of Narcan, the opioid blocking medication that can rescue people from overdoses. Though I acknowledge how helpful Suboxone can be, I think the most important medicine I dispensed during my years in this area of practice was compassion and understanding. Punishment is notoriously ineffective. Early on, it was thought to be good practice to toss people out of the program if they had a urine test that showed they were non-compliant with the rules, which were no illicit drug use and take your medicine consistently. It didn't take long for us to realize that this was not reducing harm, but increasing it. Taking away someone's treatment in order to punish them for not following the rules could be very harmful indeed, even fatal. On the other hand, it wasn't so easy to give up the notion that we were in charge and the patients were in need of help. Nowadays, it is recognized that the best approach is to meet people without judgment, to respect their autonomy and sovereignty over their own bodies and lives. Since retiring several years ago, I have volunteered as a peer recovery coach at the Turning Point Center in Middlebury and witnessed firsthand how effective this kind of support can be in facilitating folks in changing their lives and finding connection and meaning again. A few words about burnout. In medical school, I was taught to have firm boundaries so I would not get lost in the suffering of my patients. Rachel Remen tells a story about her training in her book, Kitchen Table Wisdom, which illustrates this cockeyed culture in medical education and training. As a junior pediatric resident, she participated in the care of a child who ultimately died. She recounts going to the bedside with her chief resident to meet with the parents shortly after. Dr. Remen was overwhelmed with sadness and unable to refrain from crying during the conversation. When she and the chief resident had left the room, he stopped around a corner in the hallway and told her, "Don't you ever do that again. That was totally unprofessional." Needless to say, I was somewhat unprepared for the magnitude of suffering I encountered in the folks seeking addiction treatment. One day, I recognized I simply could not continue the work. I was done. Part of it was that I had a medical condition I had not recognized and needed to address. I had also run out of tolerance for participating in a medical system which is so flawed. I realize now that I didn't know how to have compassion without attachment. The human heart naturally quivers with compassion when it encounters suffering. Us do-gooders must learn to recognize that the suffering of others is distinct and separate from our own suffering. We must find ways to respond compassionately to the suffering of others find ways that do not cause us harm. Taking proper care of ourselves means giving up the fantasy that heroism and martyrdom are useful. I'm so grateful for the many gifts my addiction medicine experience brought me. Chief among them has been the privilege of bearing witness to the courage and determination of the people in recovery I have encountered. Their example led me to discover and embrace that I myself prefer to be a non-drinker and a non-smoker. For many years, I was a daily drinker of alcohol and a deeply closeted smoker of cigarettes who did not recognize how these addictions impacted my life and the lives of those around me. I've been inspired to understand myself more and to see clearly that change in the world originates from change within ourselves. That's okay. change in the world originates from change within ourselves. The ultimate lesson for me in all this was to understand that compassion for oneself is the foundation on which care of others is built. My father loved to say, ketchup is the opiate of the people. He said it every time the ketchup came out, which was often. I bet he started saying it during our 3 years in the Soviet Union. I bet he started saying it during our 3 years in the Soviet Union, a nation established purportedly in response to Karl Marx's ideas. The full quotation from Marx that my father loved to misquote is, "Religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of a heartless world, and the soul of soulless conditions. It is the opium of the people." I didn't use AI to create this talk, but I did query ChatGPT about Marx because I can't ever remember what Dad substituted for ketchup in his favorite saying. It responded, quote, "Marx wasn't just condemning religion, he was also recognizing that religion provided comfort to people suffering under harsh conditions, like opium in the 19th century, used to dull pain. Religion, in Marx's view, was used to soothe the suffering caused by social and economic injustice. His point was that to achieve true liberation, people needed to address the real-world conditions causing their suffering, not just rely on spiritual consolation." In writing these reflections, I realized that I first became aware of substance use disorder as a child in Moscow, where I often saw people passed out on the street from alcohol intoxication, something I'd never seen before. In the Soviet Union, alcohol was heavily subsidized by the government, serving the same function as opium in the 19th century. The oppression and suffering of the people in 1970s Moscow was palpable even to a child. The opioid epidemic in the US today is also the result of social and economic injustice. It was created largely by the medical industrial complex led by Purdue Pharma's well-documented unethical pursuit of profit. It is not caused by people using drugs. They are the collateral damage of a society ruled too much by greed. My experience has taught me that if I want the world to be a less greedy place, the best leverage, arguably the only leverage I have, is to choose to find ways to be less greedy and less stingy myself. Thank you.
Please rise as you're able and join us in singing Amazing Grace.
I
we have a spontaneous postlude today, presented by Dr. Francois Clemens. But first, we will extinguish the chalice.
Oh,